All right, welcome everybody. Super excited to kick this off. We have people who signed up from all over the country. So if you're here live, I'd love to hear in the chat where you're from, or you can unmute yourself. And if you're watching the recording, maybe you're seeing this on YouTube or elsewhere, feel free to comment where you're from. Love to hear where I'm attracting people. I'm in Texas. I know Ryan here is in Michigan. We had Nick from Utah sign up, and a couple other people, I think, from that West Coast region. So excited to get started. I'm going to share my screen. Ryan's from Michigan. Awesome. Going to share my screen and then we'll get started. So today, as discussed, we're talking about the one bottleneck that's quietly holding back self-aware entrepreneurs and how to fix it fast. This is your reminder. Watch and stick around till the end because there are two major bonuses I'll be giving away that I haven't given away before. And I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. And first things first, I just want to talk about if you're watching this, you're an entrepreneur, right? And you probably classify yourself as self-aware. You understand your patterns, you see the bad and the good and everything in between. And a lot of time, you still may be stuck. And so I want to talk about why you're still stuck, even when you know better. That's something that I dealt with for a long time, is feeling like, man, I know better. Like I've done the work, I've read the books, and same with you. Let me guess, you've probably worked hard on yourself as well. You've read the books, you've watched the videos, you maybe attended the seminars, you healed past traumas. And don't get me wrong, those things may have helped a little bit. And now you're smarter, you're definitely more self-aware, and you know what you need to do, but still you're not doing it. And that's so painful. So because no matter how much you learn, your actions still don't fully match your potential and what you know you could and should be doing. You'll get bursts of momentum followed by a bunch of resistance. You show up with intensity and then you fall off into overthinking or you burn yourself out. And then you wonder, these are the questions I used to ask myself as well. Why am I still stuck even though I've done so much work on myself? Why am I not further ahead by now? What is actually holding me back? Like, what is that thing? So you're working hard, but it still feels like something's in the way. And I totally understand. It's you. And in the past, it was me. And at times, it still is me because this process never ends, right? We're not perfect. We're never finished. We're just continually improving ourselves. And the thing is, the most frustrating thing in the world or feeling in the world is knowing that you're capable of more and still holding yourself back. But I just want to say before you start to beat yourself up, let me explain because I've definitely been there as well. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're broken. It's definitely not because you need another productivity hack or because you haven't read some book or watched some video from some guru. The truth is, as I mentioned, I've been there many times. And here's the truth that I discovered in this process. It was never a lack of discipline or motivation. It wasn't laziness. It was the same loop that you find yourself in, cycling back and forth between drive and dysfunction. So I learned that that same pattern that made me high performing, so the same pattern that made you a very driven, ambitious person, were the same or was the same thing also holding me back and what's holding you back as well. So in a moment, I'll share more about that and I'll help you know what to do so you can overcome this problem and get on your merry way to getting the results that you want in your life and business. I want to quickly talk about my journey on the entrepreneurial roller coaster. So if you're an entrepreneur, you know as well as I do, it isn't for the weak, and it definitely is like a roller coaster. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. But the thing is, if you're anything like me, I've always been an entrepreneur. I look back in my life, I ran a lemonade stand at age 6. I shoveled driveways by age 12, mowed lawns at 16. It's in my blood. I've always wanted to do my own thing and be successful. And since then, I built multiple businesses. I crossed the $1 million earn mark by 25 inside my business, and I helped 100 plus entrepreneurs over the years throughout my career, consulting, so on and so forth, to get out of their way through workshops, retreats, strategic consulting, and now my community for entrepreneurs called Self-Led. Entrepreneurs like my man Jake Tomsick, who said he's a mortgage broker, who said, "You helped me more than years of therapy did in just a few short months," after I shared with him some of what I'll be sharing with you today. And Lucas Delvo, an insurance broker, who said, "I was in this place for over a year, making progress then falling short. To the outside world, I looked successful, making money, getting recognition on my sales team. But to me, it all felt worthless and like it didn't matter. I was in a bad place. And now 3 months later, I'm writing this a new man after he attended one of my retreats for entrepreneurs." And I've definitely been in both of their places before. Like Lucas, super successful on paper, but kind of falling apart inside or just feeling disconnected. and many, many others that I've talked to or worked with or experienced similar to myself. But along the way, through my own experience as well as working with other people, I learned that hustle and self awareness alone isn't enough. And I've seen this same bottleneck that we're going to talk about today show up over and over again, not only in my own life and business, but also in every single person I've talked to or worked with. So I used to believe, just like a lot of the gurus will tell you, like, man, if I just work harder, stay busier, and add more strategy, I'd finally break through. But that only got me more tired, more frustrated, and more disconnected from the life I actually wanted, the thing that I was envisioning. So, like you, I had the drive, I had the ambition, I had the strategies, I was consuming everything in sight, but I was also procrastinating, overthinking, self sabotaging. I would start strong, but then I would slip back every single time to my old ways. And it kind of felt like I had these two versions of myself inside of me, one that wanted to build the dream and like wouldn't shut up about the dream, and then one that kept quietly pumping the brakes in the background. And these two would just fight in my head all the time. And it wasn't because I didn't care or try hard. It was quite the opposite, actually. And it also damn sure wasn't because I couldn't see my patterns and my problems. Those things were painfully obvious to me, and you might relate to that. And it definitely wasn't because I didn't know how to, or excuse me, it was because I definitely didn't know how to lead myself through the resistance. And that's when I realized something that changed my life, something I'd kind of already touched on earlier. And that is you can be self aware and still self sabotage. In fact, I almost feel that when you are self aware, you will more often self sabotage because awareness alone isn't enough to change behavior. It only makes us painfully aware of it. And that's the bottleneck I want to help you break today. And when I did finally break this bottleneck, I now, after years of experimentation and figuring all this shit out on my own, can work 4 to 6 focused hours per day and be done with energy left for the gym, my partner, or just peace. I can follow through, and I do follow through on the plans that I make. No more constant distractions and always being behind. Sure, there's always shit to do, but my ability to control it and make progress on it is so much better. And I start my day knowing exactly what matters, and I end it feeling accomplished, not guilty. And lastly, and I think most importantly, I actually started to enjoy what I'm building, regardless of the business, right? It's a good month, it's a bad month, a good day, a bad day, indifferent. I actually love what I'm building now, and I feel super in control, which I didn't before. So I've just seen in my own experience and working with the people I do that when you get out of your own way and you upgrade to the right systems, everything else simply begins to just fall in place. What you learned today is the foundation that helped me and many others, as I mentioned before, stop sabotaging their success and start leading themselves with clarity. So I just want to quickly pause for those that are on the call. Let me know in the chat if this is resonating with you, if you understand or relate to some of what I've said. Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate you saying so. Yeah, yes, it does. Cool. So I just want to share a little bit more deeply a sad but relatable truth. What made you capable, the person watching this, whether you're here in person or live, or excuse me, whether you're here live in person or watching the recording, is that what made you capable came at a cost. The very experiences that gave you your gifts, the things that make you able to be an entrepreneur and kick ass and take names, also left a scar. It's because you're not just ambitious, you're wired for survival. You didn't become driven because of perfect conditions. You were built in and thrive in chaos. Things like pressure, trauma, necessity. You learned to overperform because it felt safer than slowing down. You learned to control because letting go meant getting hurt. And you learned to win, but you didn't actually learn to rest along the way. And so now that same drive that got you here is the same energy that's sabotaging you when things finally start to click and work. And that cycle, that back and forth between your potential and your patterns is what's become the bottleneck. So again, we talked about this, the inner battle. That's what I like to call it. Drive versus dysfunction. The same fire that made you ambitious, person watching this, is also the same fire that you burn yourself out with. The same obsession that made you take the leap to build your business is the reason you obsess over getting it perfect and end up holding yourself back in the process. And it's that same drive that's helping you to make it happen. And it often comes from a part of you that doesn't feel safe to slow down. So, because of that, you've built a business on sheer willpower. You fought through resistance. you created something from nothing, and I want to recognize you for that because that's incredible. But deep down, you still feel like you're behind. And you've probably had some level of success. You maybe have gotten some clients or made some money or you saw your business grow. You've seen and touched the dream, but you still feel behind. And it's not really that you're battling laziness, even though you might tell yourself that sometimes. You're battling misalignment because you have the drive, but it's rooted in dysfunction. So drive sounds like I need to build this. There's more inside of me. I know I'm capable of more. But dysfunction quietly whispers in the background, if I stop, I'll fall behind. I'm not doing enough. Maybe even I'm not enough. I need to prove myself. And so what do you do to compensate? You set super high standards, but then you procrastinate on them. You create momentum, but then you burn it down. You chase freedom and you say you want freedom, but then you create pressure and keep yourself on a hamster wheel. So if that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And just want to summarize it with a quote. The worst kind of hell is when your potential and your performance don't match. That comes from Dan Coe. And that line really hit me when I first read it because that used to be my reality every single day. And it was actually hell. So on paper, though, I was winning. I was self-employed. I was making money. Other people said, oh, you're crushing it. But inside, I was stuck in cycles of self-sabotage and shame. I'd go all in for 6 weeks and then I'd disappear for the next 6. I was always working, yet I was constantly feeling behind. And I'd finally get a moment of peace and then somehow ruin it by creating chaos again. And it wasn't ever, as I said, a motivation problem. I was pretty motivated. And even when I wasn't, it's that I had a self-leadership problem. And I like to think about this. It was driven by what I call an internal and external operating system that was given to me by my family, by teachers, and by society, which unfortunately didn't exactly give me the best blueprint. And so I didn't really choose to get in my own way, and I didn't want to get in my own way, but unfortunately that was the default. And when I finally zoomed out, I saw it super clearly. Okay, my impressive drive that I had that other people, applauded me for really just came from dysfunction. And that dysfunction was, you could think of as like embedded in my operating system like a virus. So internally, my programming, my internal operating system was super cluttered with an identity formed by survival, not expansion, limiting beliefs about money, success and self worth, hard to break habits like addiction and self destruction, emotions I was never taught to feel, let alone understand, and then thoughts that just repeated on autopilot in the background and sabotaged my progress. And then my external operating system, the processes that ran my life, were a chaotic mess. Unsustainable routines, constant procrastination, shiny object syndrome and chasing masked as strategy, reactive to-do lists and unproductive days. And the worst thing is a productivity system built on shame and guilt, not clarity. Basically just me telling myself, quit being a pussy, try harder all the time. So Gary Keller has this really interesting quote, and he says, people don't succeed because of themselves, but in spite of themselves. And that really hit me hard because on paper, and as I mentioned, I was succeeding in spite of myself. And I was so exhausted because of it. So here's what I've learned and what I help other conscious entrepreneurs see. Your greatest bottleneck isn't time, tools, or strategy. It's that your internal and external systems still are running on survival, even though you are ready for expansion. You're running your days like a fire drill, not a methodically planned mission. You're building a business while quietly doubting if you're good enough to lead it. You're self-aware and you're still self-sabotaging. You know what to do and you're still not doing it. And that's not because you're not trying hard enough, but it's because your internal and external systems are out of sync or out of alignment. And that is stopping you from leading yourself how you need to in your life and business. You see the problems and patterns holding you back, but you haven't rebuilt the systems that are creating them in the first place. So my call to action is that it's time for you to stop looping in those patterns and start leading yourself through them and out of them. And that's what I'm going to help you to accomplish today. In this short workshop, I'm going to share with you why conscious entrepreneurs with the best intentions still hit a wall, the hidden pattern between drive and dysfunction and how to disarm it, why self-awareness isn't enough and what to do instead. And again, we're going to really go deep into the one bottleneck, slowing everything down and how to fix it very, very fast. So reminder, another quote, Alex Hormozy said, if the path is unclear, doubling your speed won't get you there faster. And unfortunately, That is what I see so many entrepreneurs doing. They're sprinting down a path that they haven't even mapped out. They're using systems that aren't built to take them where they need to go. And what I'm going to help you do is very simple. It's clear the path, fix the system, and move forward in alignment. If by the end of this workshop, you're thinking like, damn, this really resonated, this is exactly what I needed, then I'll show you how to go even deeper if you want to join us inside of Self-Led, where myself and the rest of the entrepreneurs in that community will help you to fix the systems that are keeping you stuck for good. But for now, let's go ahead and get into it. I'd recommend, if you don't already, you have a piece of paper and a notebook or a way to take notes. And yeah, let's jump in. So teaching point number 1. Here are 3 to 5 signs you're in your own way and what to do about it. So I like to think about this as how to tell when you're not just busy, but you're actually subconsciously sabotaging yourself. So the first, and probably the most prevalent one, you keep breaking promises to yourself. This week will be different. I'm finally going to do X, Y, Z, and then you don't. And I want to talk about why that happens. It's because you're setting goals your identity and emotional wiring can't support yet. They don't feel safe. You've got a mismatch between what you want and who you believe you are. So to make this super simple, here's what you need to do. You want to start rebuilding that trust in yourself and that new identity by shrinking the gap. So this week, choose one small identity aligned commitment you can follow through on daily and make it too small to fail. So a quick action step would be ask yourself, what's the minimum viable win I can commit to this week to rebuild trust with myself? And then once you have that, now you're ready for number 2, which is the second sign you're probably in your own way. You're working long, but you're producing shallow. So if you're always working, but not moving the needle, you're probably drowning in shallow tasks and your days feel so full, but your progress feels so light. And I want to talk about why that happens. It's because you never defined what actually matters most. And you're also probably avoiding the deeper work because it carries more emotional resistance. Fear of failure, like, oh man, if I take this action, there's a chance I might fail or look stupid. Or success, man, if I take this action, I'm going to win. And that's also scary because I'm used to losing. Or exposure, like other people have to see me or hear from me if I take that action. And those are all valid, emotional reasons and resistances that we all face. But here's what you can do to overcome that. First things first, you want to prioritize the high leverage work. So start your day with what I call the focused 1-hour block, which is at least 1 block per day, 0 distractions, focused on the one thing that you know would move you forward. So the action step here, to make this simple, is ask yourself, if I could only get one thing done today that would truly move the needle, what would that be? So now you got the first thing, the minimum viable win you can commit to this week. The second thing, the one most important thing you're going to work on each day. And now number 3, the third sign you're in your own way and what to do about it. You're over planning, but you're under executing. This is a disease, let's say, amongst entrepreneurs. You spend more time organizing your week than executing on it. And I'm going to talk about why that happens. Planning gives the illusion of control and progress, but without the emotional risk of actually starting the plan. You're procrastinating through productivity. It's a whole thing. So what you got to do is you want to set a timer and use a very simple daily structure, which is 3 priorities, at least 1 deep work block, which we just talked about, and a clear end of day review. So each day I like to think of it, I've talked to my clients about this, like you can forgive yourself if you had a shitty day, or you can celebrate yourself if you had a great day, but you can let the day go. So that way tomorrow is a fresh plate or fresh slate. So the action step, so we want to trade perfection for momentum. And you want to ask, where am I hiding behind preparation instead of stepping into execution? And maybe right off the top of your head, you have something come to mind. Feel free to write that down. And if not, you definitely have access to the replay, and you can reflect more deeply on that then as well. And now we're going to talk about number 4. You feel off, but you can't name why. You're emotionally, mentally, or physically off, but you don't know why. And why this happens is that your internal system is overloaded, right? It's like you're taxing the hard drive way too much. You don't have enough RAM in your computer, so to speak. You're operating from tension, constant tension, not clarity. and you're likely not checking in with yourself. You're just pushing, redlining your engine, so to speak. So here's what's worked for me, and what I recommend you do is you do a daily check-in, and that could be in the morning and at night, just a quick reflection to regulate your nervous system and tune back into that alignment and clarity. So those questions could look like, what do I feel right now? Like, what emotions are alive in my body? What do I need right now? Like, maybe you need to go take a walk outside, or go put your feet on the grass, or grab a drink of water, like shake your legs out. And the last one is, what am I grateful for in this moment? This is a really key thing, that self-leadership begins with self-connection. If you are not connected to yourself, you will not lead yourself. And this is a really powerful practice to really connect to yourself, which makes leading yourself all the much easier. And lastly, this is our fifth reason that you are in your own way and what to do about it. So, our fifth sign, you keep starting over instead of building. So this is a huge thing. I like to talk about the shiny object syndrome. A lot of us entrepreneur type people, we want to try the new strategy, the new tool, the new, I don't know, whatever it is. So we get excited. We start really fast because we're passionate, but then we stall out and then we reboot again and again. And why that happens is because we wait to build until we have that burst of emotional energy versus having consistent alignment. Your system has no sustainable foundation. So how we can change this is we can design your week around energy, not intensity. Build rhythm, not sprints. You need a repeatable system, not a constant new motivation surge. So the last question to ask yourself would be, what structure would allow me to show up sustainably, not sporadically? You're a human being, not a machine. Although we want to operate like machines, we got to make room for our human, so to speak. And that's the way to do it. So quick recap before we move on to our next teaching point. If any of these hit, reminder, you're not broken. You're just operating with outdated patterns and systems. And so now we're going to talk about how to actually fix those systems now that we've talked about some of these patterns above. So teaching point number 2, upgrade your internal operating system, or iOS. And the easiest way to remember this is synonymous with programming, right? We hear about that subconscious programming, mental programming, whatever. My way of saying it is internal operating system, because it's a kind of a cool little name. The real bottleneck always isn't your time, your knowledge, or your tools. It's the internal programs running your life without your permission, because again, they don't need your permission. They just run in the background. And these programs were inherited from your environment, formed in survival, and hardwired during moments of pain, pressure, or trauma. And the hardest thing is that you're still living by them. So how you know that is, it sounds like I have to earn rest. Like, I can't rest unless I earn it. If I slow down, I'll fall behind. You have that fear, right? Scarcity mentality. I'm only valuable when I'm producing. You put all of your worth into your work. And until those are rewritten, no amount of strategy will save you, because again, you're operating with flawed programming. So here's how to upgrade your internal operating system. The first thing is we want to identify your dysfunction-driven programming. So we want to look at what's not serving us and ask ourselves, what internal belief is keeping this sabotage in place? So you might look for statements like, I always mess it up when things are good, or I'm not consistent, or it's all or nothing. That's one that I've definitely struggled with, all or nothing mentality. So we want to write it down, call it out, make it visible. Like, just, take it out of the shadows, put it up on a shelf. And then the second way to upgrade your internal operating system is we want to rewire with emotionally connected identity. So really cool practice is to think of the version of you who already leads themselves with clarity. And now ask yourself, how would they think, act, and feel today, like right now? And make that your new benchmark, not the old voice in your head, the old programming. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to return to who you could be before the fear kicks in. And that's the easiest way to do it. Anchor your identity in that future self, that ideal or higher self. And then the third thing, also about emotions, is install a daily rehearsal practice. So most of your current identity and your programming runs on repetition. So you need new reps, right? Just like in the gym, you got to go, you've been training like one muscle group for a long time. It's time to go train something else. So each morning or night, you want to rehearse your new beliefs, your new emotions, and your new identity. And even 3 minutes a day will rewire the pathways over time. It's more of a quality over quantity type of thing. So you might have a new belief. I am someone who follows through. You might have some new emotions. I am feeling grateful, happy, and at peace. And then you might have a new identity. I am a highly skilled and successful entrepreneur. You become self-led by acting like it before it feels normal. Part of that self-leadership skill is keeping yourself in the thoughts, in the feelings, and in the actions that lead you to your objective, especially when it isn't easy. And that's another way to do it, rehearsal. So now we're going to move on to what I believe is our last teaching point. Align your external operating system. So once we kind of improve the foundation, which is the internal, now we can start working on the external. And I like to call these processes. So it's like what we use to run our life and business with. So now that we matched your internal upgrade, we need the external structure. Most entrepreneurs use default processes. Again, not the good ones. To-do lists based on urgency, calendars built on chaos, routines built on shame and pressure. And that's why you're tired and inconsistent. So here's how to build an aligned external operating system. It all starts first with a weekly operating system. So you want a schedule built for energy, not just output. So time blocking is a really great strategy. Here's what I recommend. You block out 1 to 2 deep work blocks per day for the most important work first. You also have some space for creative flow and time for emotional processing and reset. So that might be, for me, it's like walks, right? So it's like I have my really important work. In between, I have time for walks, and I might go play with my dogs or take them on a walk or hang out with my girlfriend or read a book or, I mean, even just stare at the wall or, there, I mean, you know what I mean? Just reset the mind, leave some space outside of those important deep work blocks, the time when you get your most important work done. And then the second thing, use the 1 hour rule. We talked about this earlier, but if you only had one focused hour per day, like you could only work 1 hour per day, what task would earn that time? And that's what you want to work on first, distraction free. So for most of us business owners, that's what actually brings in money, because we know if we make money, that unlocks everything else in our life, whether that's in our business and operations or lifestyle and so on and so forth. The third part is create a system, not a to-do list. So use these components. A weekly planning session, Sunday or Monday. In self-led, we do a Sunday group planning session every Sunday morning. Daily top 3 priorities. Focus on less. Less is more. Just a couple things each day to accomplish. And then an end of day review. Did I lead myself today? You know, what are my wins? What worked? What didn't? What am I grateful for? What's next? What am I doing tomorrow? Super simple. So I'm going to just pause. I just want to quickly summarize. Here's what we just did. We identified the signs of self-sabotage. I showed you a few quick and easy ways to upgrade your internal operating system, which is all about your vision, your identities, or excuse me, your vision, your identity, and also your state, your emotions and thoughts. I showed you how to align your external operating system, structure, workflow, systems, the processes that run your day-to-day life and business. And when you align both, the sabotage will fade and that self-leadership begins. Quickly, we'll use this Ferrari metaphor because this is something I really like. You, whoever watching this, if you're here live, if you're watching the recording, I like to think of you as a Ferrari. You guys are my Ferraris, okay? You're the badass bitchin' sports cars that other people idolize. You have potential, power, and speed. But the only problem is you're still running on the engine of a beat up 1995 Civic that your past handed you. And that's really the bottleneck. You're trying to build a future with tools from the past. You're trying to run a business in expansion mode with an identity built in survival. You're trying to build something new and unknown while being run by a system built for what's safe and secure. And until those systems are rebuilt, no strategy, no amount of motivation, no calendar app or shiny object is going to fix it. So that's really the take home today. So there's 3 shifts after this workshop you want to start making now. The first is from forcing to flowing. So let go of building things from guilt or pressure. Start letting things be built from clarity, because then you stop chasing things and you start kind of just getting pulled towards them. Clarity is like it's a slippery slope, right? It's like when you know what you want, you know what's important, it's way easier to move with less friction in that direction. The second shift is from overthinking to ownership. You don't need another shiny object. You need to step into the version of you that already has what you want. How they think, how they feel, how they act. Start being that, as often as possible right now, and watch how quickly things change. And then the third shift, probably the most important one, is you want to shift from self-sabotage to self-leadership. Upgrade the systems, internal and external, so the results take care of themselves. So I just want to pause for a moment. Hopefully it's been great so far. I've been cranking for about a half hour. I know it's a lot of information, but I want to talk about what we covered. So you learned why you still sabotage progress even when you're self-aware, and I'd even say especially when you're self-aware. You learned the truth about drive and dysfunction and how both shaped your success. We talked about why you don't need more hustle, you just need better systems. We talked about how to upgrade both your external and internal operating systems. And we talked about the real difference between being self-aware or self-sabotaging and being self-led. So here's what I want you to take away from all this. You're not the problem. You're not broken. Your systems are. And systems, fortunately, can be redesigned. And that's where everything changes when you become the person who leads yourself clearly, consistently, and powerfully. You stop spinning your wheels. You stop waking up behind and going to bed guilty. You stop outsourcing your momentum to motivation, which is fleeting. You start building a business that actually feels fun and provides freedom. And you start showing up as the version of you that your vision requires. And that's really what you want. So here's how I can help. And at the end, I want to open it up for questions. I want to introduce you guys to self-led. Let me be real with you, though, real quick. You could walk away from this workshop and go piece together your own plan. And honestly, even if you just implemented one idea from today, you'll already be ahead of where you were before you started watching this workshop. But if you want to go faster, which I think we all do, and if you want the support, the strategy, and the real self-leadership infrastructure built around you, that's exactly what I'll help you to do inside of Self-Led. So I just want to talk a little bit about what Self-Led is. Quick commercial break. Self-Led is my mastermind community and mentorship experience for conscious entrepreneurs, maybe like yourself, who are tired of overthinking everything, getting in their own way, operating at 60% of their potential, and hitting the same resistance over and over again. Inside of Self-Led, we fix the internal and external systems keeping you stuck so you can finally eliminate sabotage at the root, create your desired lifestyle and schedule, lead yourself well so your life and business follow, build the business and life you're actually capable of, don't settle for scraps, create consistent momentum without needing to force it all the time, and replace shame, guilt, and pressure with clarity and flow. All while knocking 15 plus hours off your work week so you can spend time on the things you love without sacrificing your results in the process. So if that sounds good, I just wanted you to take a second and imagine a life and business where this is the new normal, because this is what we're creating inside of Self-Led. You can put your phone on Do Not Disturb without worrying about everything falling apart. You can close your laptop at 2 p.m. and feel free because the most important work is already done. You can go on a week-long adventure without the weight of unfinished tasks or spinning thoughts weighing you down. You've become someone that your future self would thank, not someone they have to clean up after. You feel the freedom of knowing your goals aren't just daydreams. They're actually mapped, they're scheduled, and they're actively being built. You can predictably scale your business and improve your lifestyle without adding more chaos or complexity to your calendar. And you build systems and attract talent that helps you to manage your business so you can stop being the bottleneck for every task, decision, or deadline. Ultimately, it's about spending more time doing what fuels you, adventures, connection, creativity, without guilt or chaos waiting for you in return, or when you return. So what you'll get inside of Self-Led as I mentioned, we do some calls. We do weekly coaching, strategy, and implementation support. Those are live calls to keep you clear, consistent, and on track. We have the self-led community. That's a supportive and raw community of high-level conscious entrepreneurs who get it. They're also building alongside you. The self-led operating system. Those are the systems, the frameworks, and strategies that I personally used to earn over 1 million in business and take my life back and learn everything we just talked about and some more. And then there's a limited bonus. We're actually be doing a live in-person event this year. And if you sign up, you'll actually get an exclusive ticket to our annual self-led mastermind retreat. So we're super excited about that. Who it's for, who it's not for. It's for conscious entrepreneurs who are doing the work internally and externally, but still feel stuck, as we talked about. Aspiring entrepreneurs, investors, and creators ready to take the leap into building what they're capable of. And also anyone who knows they're meant for more impact and income, but they're not exactly sure where to start. But it's not for. I don't want these people who are chasing overnight fixes, anyone not willing to take radical ownership, those who want someone else to fix it for them. I can't fix it for you, but I can share with you how you can. And lastly, this is a deeply, and I emphasize deeply, foundational and transformational experience. This is the kind of experience that frees you up for the rest of your life and your business journey. So if you're ready to go deeper, if this is resonate with you and you're tired of being self-aware but still stuck, I want to invite you to apply for one of the limited spots inside of Self-Led. It only takes a few minutes. We don't accept everyone, and we have limited monthly openings, not only to maintain a high quality of service, but also to screen potential people coming in, because again, it's not for everybody. And if you do happen to qualify to join us, then you and I will do a one-on-one life and business audit. We'll audit your current systems. We'll find the biggest leak or loop that's keeping you stuck. And obviously, we'll talk about if self-led is the next right step for you. So again, no pressure conversation, just real clarity and next steps either way. And I'll drop the link to book a call in the chat. So yeah, if you've been saying I should be further ahead by now, I know what to do, but I'm still not doing it. I'm tired of wasting time in patterns I've already outgrown. Then this is your chance. Let's rebuild the OS. Let's fix the systems. And let's finally get you out of your own way and onto your next level in your life and business. And I'd obviously love to help you do it, as I said. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the link. It's time for a Q&A. Since there are people on the call that stuck around till the end, I'm going to give them that free resource we talked about. Let me just go ahead and drop that in the chat. So this resource is a self-led operating system audit. And this audit is going to help you to go through and actually diagnose specifically what is kind of tripping you up. So we're at in your internal systems, are things going wrong? We're at in your external systems, are things going wrong? What do you need? And that way you guys can get going with or without me and with or without self-led. And then the second thing for the recording, I'm going to go ahead and drop the call link in there for those who do want to apply to book a call. And let me just grab that. Cool. And here in a second, I'm going to stop recording. We'll get into Q&A. If you're watching the recording, thank you. You can find links down below in the description, and feel free to comment any questions you have. I'll get back to you through the comments on YouTube or wherever you found the video. And for now, I'm going to give my attention to those that are live. Thank you again. I'll see you in the next one. We'll do another one next month. Much love. And okay, guys, now you guys can unmute yourself. See you, Ryan. Do you have any questions for me? I'm going to stop the recording.